All right, the highlight video from GreatStockPicks.com from our live trading chat room today on Tuesday, June 4th. PWR, these are in no particular order, by the way, but PWR, a good example of the teamwork in our chat room. One of our members, I think it was Big Ideas, posted PWR was hitting the 200-day. Jonathan L. then reiterated to the room, hey, remember from the video last night, he was alluding to the wrap-up video that I had made the night before, where I talked about several stocks that had come a long way on an intraday basis to hit the 200-day. And you can see PWR was up over 28, had fallen well over $1 just to get down to the 200-day. So on an intraday basis, that's a long fall. And in that video the night before, I had pointed out several stocks that had done that. And keep in mind, if you can picture this, at the time, this was a solid red candle all the way down to here, okay, because the day wasn't complete yet. So at the time, you had a solid red candle through the 200-day, and I think some people might look at that and say, well, we're through the 200-day, it's a short. Not when it's come this far, and what happens often is when you have that scenario is you end up at the end of the day with a bottoming tail, well, not necessarily a bottoming tail, but with a tail, and the stock closes back above the 200-day. And so Jonathan L. reminded the room, hey, remember that from that video, PWR meets those parameters. So we've got Big Ideas pointing it out at the 200-day, Jonathan L.'s reminder, and then it met one of my favorite intraday setup parameters, which if you've watched any of our videos at all, is something called shape change, okay? So if you kind of connect the tops of the 5-minute candles here, and you can see the pitch, and then look at how the shape really changes here, and you've got the volume candles growing, so it's like the price and volume reaching out to each other. You've got nice shape change. That is what intraday capitulation looks like. That's where typically when you get this shape change coupled with this volume, it's time to start looking for a turn, okay, a little rebound. And if you couple that with the fact that we had fallen a long way to pierce the 200-day, and now we know we're under the 200-day, there's a good chance this is going to reverse and end up above the 200-day. So this met pretty much everything we look for as far as looking for an intraday reversal. And I just went ahead and called it long as a 5 setup. In other words, the first break of a previous 5-minute candle's high. As I hover over this one, the high was 26.76. So the trigger to buy this long is going to be 26.77. That was my idea. And the worst case stop is going to go low of the day, 26.66. So you can see the trigger right there, 11 cents risk, and we got a decent move to 27.26, so almost 50 cents a share in our favor on 11 cents risk. But you know, it's just a nice example of teamwork and also meeting you know, a couple parameters that we look for. That's, you know, when you can have a trade setup meet 2 or 3 different things that you look for all on one stock at one time, those are always more powerful, right? Okay, other calls from the day. END, and I'm jumping around here, but END I even posted this one on StockTwits. I said it over 353. I like this a lot. I said it's a thinner stock, and this was in the video last night to show you the setup. This was my favorite setup, actually, even though it's a cheap stock going into today. If this gets through the high of the day, we could start knocking down catalysts. And so anyway, I called this at 354 with a 348 stop, so 6 cents risk, and there's the trigger, holds the stop, and shoots pretty quickly after that up to 390. You know, and I'll tell you what, I'd already had this on the watch list, and I love this setup. Let me take today's candle out of it, and I'll show you that. This is what it looked like last night when I found it, scrolling through a bunch of charts. You had the big volume spike right here, and the big move up to $4. Then you had this long cup and a very kind of little handle or tight flag, whatever you want to call it. So I really liked it over this. I said it might make a move to 4, and then you got the nice break today, and this could be multi-day. But what I wanted to say was, and I hope I don't get this wrong, on StockTwits, I usually have that running on my laptop so I can kind of watch the stream as I'm calling trades for the chat room. And I think it was Zortrade, Zortrades or something like that. I saw his. He's one of the suggested members on StockTwits, and I saw a post by him come across about END also, and it's, you know, it's not a heavily traded stock, but he talked about the big saucer base as well, and this is after we were already in it, and he said in his post 26% short, and so that gave me a little more confidence, you know, to hang on to that one. That just shows the value of StockTwits. It was nice to see a suggested member, and I didn't know that. I knew I liked the chart, but I did not know that it had 26% short. Double checked it on FinViz, and it turned out to be accurate. So gave me a little more confidence that this thing might really pop. So nice post by Zor Trades. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that. Let's see. Big Ideas called Bristol Myers again, 2 days in a row. Called this one short, and his call today was at 47.30. Right here on this little red candle, 47.30, worst case stop above the previous 11 cents above, and from 47.30 this thing went to 46.40, so 90-cent move in our favor on 11 cents risk. Really nice short call by Big Ideas. Jumping all over the place here, but late in the day, CLF was just kind of doing kind of an ascending triangle. Had great relative strength today, and I just called this as a long on a high of day break. So the early high here, 1905. My call was 1906 with an 1890 stop, and there's a trigger. And it didn't do great, but from 1906 went to what, 1930 maybe, 1931. And you can see from the trigger right there, we were never underwater. So I mean, it was easy money near the end of the day, not a huge one, but J.C. Penney's, I alerted the volume when this was in the 1790s. I said, hey, J.C. Penney's volume. I actually took some at 18. I didn't call that for the room. I didn't say, hey, I'm in this one. I just alerted the volume. But we got a nice almost 40-cent move from there. And that was easy money. It wasn't, again, an official call with a trigger and stop, but still the alert worked. And that might have been it. Oh, I had a couple UNXL. I had a couple calls in this one that worked and one that didn't. When UNXL looked like this, we all know this has a potential. It's so beaten up that it has potential to squeeze. And so when it looked like this, I figured if it got over this spike right here, over 1754, there's a good chance we're going to get through the high of the day, and it could be an easy money trade. So I called it a 17. Let me double check. 1756, 1729 stop. There's the trigger, and just like that, right back out. Then I called it later in the 1730s when it was climbing up here with a 17 stop, and then we got our push through the high of the day, and it went all the way to 1793. So I got my money back from the earlier blunder, but I think that is the entire list of my calls. Had a Krispy Kreme KKD call that never triggered. Oh, and a small loss on Coinstar, and that was the entire day. So anyway, nicely green. I'll quit babbling. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.